Let me introduce our main speaker today. Dr. Mathur, Piyush Mathur, is a staff anesthesiologist and a critical care physician at Cleveland Clinic, Ohio. With more than 20 years of clinician experience, he is the innovation lead for the Department of Anesthesiology um, at Cleveland Clinic. He has also served in the role of Quality Improvement Officer, Chair of Compliance Committee, Anesthesiology Institute for more than a decade. He also founded one of the largest groups for machine learning in healthcare, BrainX Community. Welcome, Piyush. It's a pleasure to have you here, and we'd love to get to know what you're up to these days. So, please, did I miss anything in the introduction?
No, no, thank you, Yuli. I think the thing that you missed is the long-standing partnership we have had with InnovatorMD and the amazing platform that you have built. So honored to be back over here with you and amongst so many amazing innovators from across the world.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I think you've been there since we started.
Yes,
In 2020, and I was looking at some of the pictures, and you were there.
that's right.
That's how I remember. But yeah, I mean, you had an amazing career, and like Raman and everybody else, we've been following you, and we admire what you're doing. And I thought, I want to get, yes, you've done talks and you've done, a lot of other things, but this episode or this series of episodes where we call it the soul of the innovator. Okay, so we want to get to the bottom of how it all started. What were the circumstances that moved you in this direction, and also what was going on. You know, inside your brain, inside your heart. What led for you to become what you are today. And so, welcome. Innovator MD is a great platform for physicians and innovators. And we love talking with people like you. And so, thank you for joining us and thank you for sparing this time to spend with us. So, let's get started. Um, one of the things that, I frequently ask is that when did you decide that number one, you want to become a physician, and how did that happen?
Yeah, so that wasn't actually my decision. This was way back when, probably like 19, we're talking about like 19, late 1980s or so. I actually wanted to be in the army. I was in India. I was very patriotic and had great thoughts about serving the country. And I wanted to be in the armed forces. And I actually did clear the exam. It's called NDA over there. And my dad is the one who wanted me to be a physician. And luckily, I was good with biology. And we had a compromise. We said, okay, there is a Armed Forces Medical College. The ranking just came out. It's rated as number three or ranked as number three in India. And I was lucky enough to get into that. And that was the compromise that get to med school, but it's an armed forces medical school. It's a very prestigious place, and it's a very exciting place. They really groom you very, very well. So I think all the foundations that I have, the discipline, the ability to persist, which sometimes people don't realize how important that is as an innovator. I think a lot of those I would give credit to Armed Forces Medical College and my upbringing with my family. So that was the start. That was the idea. I wasn't necessarily looking to become a physician. That was my dad's dream for me to be a physician.
Um, so, did you become a physician in the armed forces? Did you work there as a physician?
Yeah, so it so happened that a couple of mentors that I had at my med school uh, somehow persuaded me against staying in the armed forces. They thought that I had the I could do more than just be in the armed forces. Armed forces is a great platform. It's a great place to be, but they thought that I had I could contribute in a larger way. So they suggested that I do not join the armed forces. I train there, but not join the armed forces, and try to have certain bigger goals and ambitions. So I did not join it. I left the armed forces. There is an option to not join. So I did that, and I pursued my further training outside of that.
Okay. All right. So obviously, you had a great education.
Yes.
What other training did you have to do, or what specialty did you go into, and what were the next steps?
Yeah, so the next step was I did my internship in India, and then I subsequently came to the United States to pursue my residency in anesthesiology at this great health system called Cleveland Clinic. And since then, I actually just received my 25th year certificate. So
So
I've
you're
been
a
here.
lifer.
Yes, you can say I'm a lifer over here. So I was very lucky that again I had an opportunity to be at one of the top healthcare institutions in the country and in the world, and get the training from one of the best anesthesiology residency programs, and then went on to do my critical care fellowship again from one of the best critical care fellowship programs right here at the Cleveland Clinic, and did additional training, did a fellowship in quality also, because that's where my heart is in quality improvement. So I did a fellowship in that, and I've been a staff physician over here since 2005, 2006 at the Cleveland Clinic.
So obviously, this place must be very uniquely satisfying for you because you stayed there for so long. What is so unique about it, or what's so great about this place that you feel so attached and wanted to stay there?
It's the cold. It's how freezing cold it is. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, it's always about the people. See, as
Okay.
humans, it's always about the people, and I think Cleveland Clinic has this unique milieu of some amazing people from across the world, not just from US, but from across the world. They're so inspiring. They have some amazing desire to pursue excellence collectively together, and that truly inspired me to stay here all this while. Uh, One of my plastic surgery brain X co-founders, Dr. Frank Pepe, he always says, like, it's about surrounding yourself by people smarter than you, and that's what I've benefited from. I think there are such smart people over here that I truly have benefited from their mentorship, from collaborating with them, and then growing with them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, Cleveland Clinic is such a big name and has a lot of presence in the world, actually.
That's great.
So, what led you on the path towards number one, AI? And are you doing any entrepreneurial work over there? I know it is definitely an entrepreneurial work. Tell us about how you got started in this interesting space.
Yeah, so the other thing I would say about being an innovator, I think it is not about the tools, the techniques, the different sciences and all. People do innovation related to devices, related to drugs, related to all kinds of businesses and different things and all. I think the key is problem solving. I think that is at the heart of innovation. So the problem that I was trying to solve was my own problem. And as I was the quality improvement officer, or in charge of quality improvement for my institute, Anesthesiology Institute, and having trained in quality, completed the quality fellowship, one of the things that I realized was I didn't have the skills to manage the data. And as you correctly pointed out, Cleveland Clinic has grown internationally. So when I started, it was just in US, not as much in Florida. It was mostly Ohio centric. But then it was growing very, very rapidly. Our department, our institute was growing very, very rapidly. And as it was growing, so were the quality metrics, and so were the rows and the columns. They kept on growing. So I couldn't deal with just an Excel sheet. It was very difficult to pivot those tables with so many rows and columns. And I thought like there has to be a better way to analyze this data. The second challenge that I was facing was the electronic health record. And we innovated a lot of improvements within the electronic health record that we have. So we had a home developed anesthesia record keeping system, or the anesthesia EHR. And then, of course, there is Epic. And we were trying to develop a lot of solutions within both of those to help clinicians. So the typical clinician decision support ones. And this is, we're talking about roughly 10 years ago or so. So those were very passive tools that we had, and we had to configure quite a few of them. So it was both a combination of being able to analyze the data in a better way and also be able to develop smarter tools that led me to seek better, uh, uh, some better science that would help me with that. And around that time, we had our chair, Dr. Brown, David Brown. He was the chair for Anesthesiology Institute, and I give him a lot of credit. He gave me a three-page article on complex adaptive systems. And as a naive physician, I had no idea about what complex adaptive systems are. And I
Mm,
read that, and I went back to him and I asked him a few other questions, and I was very curious about it. Like, okay, to me, healthcare is a complex adaptive system. But what does that mean to have the engineering controls built within healthcare system to deal with the complexity?
mm.
And that led me to explore complex adaptive systems more. And we're talking about a decade ago when there was
Yeah.
no ChatGPT and there was no Gemini.
Right.
And when I was looking through it, I think there were some terms that correlated with it, which were artificial intelligence or machine learning. That led me to seek more information about, okay, what is artificial intelligence and what is machine learning, and how does that interact with complex adaptive systems. So I was trying to solve that problem for myself, trying to understand that we have to improve quality of care in health system, and it is a complex adaptive system. So how can we do it in a better way?
Mm, mm, mm. Well, we do have some similarities there in
Yes.
our career paths. Um, why and so you were working on this and you understood, or at least learning about AI and machine learning, but also you kind of started teaching about it, or kind of accumulating and bringing all this knowledge together. Is that what the community that you built, is that what it is for? What was the
Yeah.
reason?
No, that's 100% right. So when we started, along with Dr. Frank Pepe, we started BrainX. It's the idea was that brain can exponentially leverage AI for the betterment of healthcare. That's why the X, to leverage AI. It's not to replace the human brain, but it's to leverage AI there. So we founded BrainX with some very smart group of people, and then since then it's grown to be a much bigger entity, a separate entity from Cleveland Clinic, to clarify. And as we were exploring AI application in healthcare, there wasn't the same buzz as it is since November of 2022. It was very geeky that time,
Yeah.
but it did drive a lot of curiosity amongst a lot of clinicians, a lot of physicians. They were all like, okay, yeah, AI sounds cool, but what is it? And what are you looking to do with it? And if you remember that time, there were some efforts by IBM also to get into healthcare. So it was catchy, it was buzzy, but poorly understood. Not just by us, but by a lot of other physicians and clinicians too. So as we formed BrainX, and going by the principles that Dr. Frank Pepe had shared with me, we said, why don't we surround ourselves with people who are smarter than us?
Mm,
And why don't we expedite the sharing of knowledge so that instead of me trying to seek out knowledge or you trying to seek out knowledge, why doesn't the knowledge come to us through a platform? And
mm,
that was the formation of BrainX community. So it's the BrainX, and then we built a community surrounding us. We built an educational platform. You can look it up on brainxai.org, where we started sharing content. We started doing monthly webinars. We actually started with live in-person meetings, and then we moved to monthly webinars, where we would bring in the experts to share their research work, their development work, and related things. We started sharing some of the key publications because people were always looking for, the key publications. So we started sharing some of the key publications through that, so that people would get focused, curated information. Started populating open source data sets because everybody was looking for data. So anytime I found open source data sets, we started sharing those and posting those over there, and a whole host of other content so that people don't have to go and find it. They had one platform where they could find it. So now it's become the largest repository of links to open source data sets. If you're looking for open source data sets, you can just go to brainxcommunity.com or brainxai.org, and you can look at the data section. 200, probably 250 plus open source data
wow.
sets. These have to be open source. And we cannot provide the data, so we provide the link. They usually require a simple DUA or a data use agreement. And you can start using it for your research work related to AI machine learning. So we started putting all this content together to benefit the community. And of course, we had to use social media. So we created a group on LinkedIn with the same name as BrainX Community, where we could actively share the publications, the scientific work, information about upcoming conferences in near real time with others. So we built the whole platform so that everybody benefits from sharing all that, and it truly helped me, and I
Yeah.
hope it helped a lot of other people in understanding and learning about AI in healthcare and its transformation over the last many years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a wonderful community, it's amazing how it grew, with the advent of AI and more tools came up, more and more research and a lot more data sets available. Um, is it like is it a nonprofit organization? How is it organized?
Yeah, so BrainX is for profit. It does have a mission of certain missions which are not for profit. So, for example, we have our research lab where we have all the way from high schoolers, all the way from
Mm,
like high schoolers to people who have finished their PhD with AI and healthcare focus, and we are doing numerous research projects together. And
yeah,
part of that mission is to educate everyone. So we do a lot of hands-on projects that collaboratively. It's across the world.
yeah.
The BrainX community has the mission to educate everyone. So there's no fee. If you go to the website, there is no advertising, nothing, no login. You get all the content open source readily at your thing. So we don't charge anything. There's no membership fee. How do we pay for it? Through certain consultations and through the best intentions and best of our heart.
Wow, wow. That's definitely a mission-driven organization. Um, so obviously, when in those days, people didn't know much about AI or what to think about it, right? What were the big hurdles for you when you first started? What were the big bottlenecks or big hurdles that you have to cross to make it into a reality? What were the challenges?
I think the biggest hurdle was the gap in understanding or knowledge that I had myself. Because I
Mm,
was myself in an exploration phase. I had no computational science background.
yeah.
And we're talking about like 9, 10 years ago, and I would give a lot of credit to Yuli yourself and to Dr. Anthony Chang. I went to AI Med for the first time. That was probably one of the only meetings happening related to AI in healthcare, and probably that's where I'd met you for the first time too, if I
Yeah,
recall.
probably. Yes, yes.
And again, Innovator MD was coming about, and there were a lot of efforts around that too. So the biggest issue was that there was lack of understanding and lack of knowledge. So
Yeah,
we were all literally flying blind, trying to understand, okay, what does this mean? And there were some people who were very knowledgeable, had been researching this for quite some time, but it was very difficult to connect with them and to have those intersections with them. So the biggest opportunity that has been created over time period, thanks to many of the ecosystems that have developed, whether we talk about AI Med or whether we talk about Innovator MD or through BrainX community, is to bridge this knowledge gap and also create this environment where we can all collaborate together. And we are actually writing a paper on this right now. The benefit of communities to to scale AI in healthcare. And
yeah,
there are quite a few different communities who are very focused in this effort in their own ways. I think that's very important. But because as humans, as learning systems, we need to have that continuous learning ability, and we need those continuous learning resources for that. So I think that was the biggest barrier. It's always about the knowledge. I think a lot of people there are a lot of very smart people, including who are participating in this session, and through Innovator MD, but it's about how do we collectively learn from each other and
mm,
grow together. And I think that ecosystem got built over some time period which didn't exist previously. I'll tell you, my life story was when I started exploring artificial intelligence. uh, I didn't know where to start, so I was like, well, I'm a physician, I've done so much training and I understand uh, even difficult terms. So I've told this story many times. The very first thing that I did was I Googled to see which is the key textbook for artificial intelligence. And it was by Peter Norvig. So the next step, I went to Amazon and I ordered it. And it showed up. I still have copies of that in my bookshelf over here. And I opened it up and I started reading it till I realized, like, matrices and vectors, like, I have no clue about all this. So that's when encountered this animal called Python. And I was like, Python? What is Python? And I was looking at like Java, and then there was something called C++, plus plus, and I started looking at all that, and I was completely lost. Now, if you look at today, a lot more content is available. A
yeah,
lot more content is available. And we ourselves, our research lab, we wrote a paper called Navigating AI, a quick start guide for clinicians for AI in healthcare. So how do you get started with this journey? And we didn't have that way back when. So there were a lot of naive attempts like mine. There were very smart attempts by many like yourself. Dr. Anthony Chang was very well trained in this, and there are many others who were very well trained in this. But creating that pathway, creating that ecosystem was very important and fundamental to getting many others. I heard, like, some people finished their additional training through AIM board over
yeah,
here, and many others have subsequently done additional training from different sources. Those weren't there at that time. I think that was the biggest barrier: knowledge and access to knowledge and access to collaborative platforms.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was like access to knowledge is one thing, and then there was no knowledge. Nobody knew what
Yeah.
was happening and where it was going. Yeah. Um, Tell us one or two examples of where you felt, wow, this is why I did this work, and what are some wins or big wins that came out of this work?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the technical win,
Yeah,
and the other win is more about uh, what gives me the biggest or the most happiness. So the technical win story is about building humanely. Humanely, many may not know, is one of the first frameworks that were built for human experts to evaluate large language model outputs. So it's human evaluation of large language model yield. So when ChatGPT came, everybody started experimenting with ChatGPT, and it gave fascinating, very coherent answers, and we were all fascinated by it, right? If you remember the time that you downloaded the app or interacted with this on the website, you asked a question, you got a fascinating answer, you were like, "Wow, this is great," right? But in our lab, one of the key questions that we were asking, and many others were asking, to how accurate is this? How accurate is this response? And there were no tools, there were no frameworks to uh, scientifically, quantitatively measure it. So in a subsequent publication in Nature, uh, not just by us but also by other researchers at Stanford, uh, we demonstrated that people were mostly looking at accuracy. So if you remember, when it came, everybody was comparing it with the USMLE multiple choice question
yeah,
scores and seeing, oh yeah, it performs better than physicians, you know. But then they were missing a lot of other assessments of this wonderful models. So that's where in our lab we said, okay, accuracy is just one metric to assess this. How do we comprehensively, quantitatively assess it in a scientific way, just like we would for any other tool? So that's where we ended up developing Humanely. We made it open access. It's free of charge. Anybody can use it. We have now developed the version 2, which is even more user friendly than the prior version. So that was very, very exciting for us and for our team to develop a solution that we could share with everyone, and they could use it to measure some of the latest tools and techniques. So that was very, very exciting for us. And since then we have developed large language uh, uh, model as a judge called Gamely, and now we are developing evaluation frameworks for agentic AI evaluation in healthcare. So we continue with our work in there as these tools, techniques, and models evolve.
yeah, yeah,
The the other story is about finding happiness in other people's success. Whether it is a high school kid, whether it is an intern who joined us a few years ago, uh, whether it is somebody who I was able to collaborate with, maybe I was able to just interact with, and they succeeded. They saw success in what they did. Maybe it was a success as publication. Maybe it helped them find their way. Possibly it was some guidance that helped them in their decision making, or maybe just helping them connect with you or somebody else that guided them further and helped them succeed. It's amazing how many people I've been able to connect with. It's
mhm,
amazing how many people I've been able to learn from. It's amazing how many people I've been able to collaborate with. Well, if you think about an anesthesiologist or ICU physician, we live in our shell. You know, we live
yeah,
in the operating room or we live in the ICU. I'm connected with like more than 2 dozen pathologists. I would have never imagined that an anesthesiologist could be connected with more than 2 dozen pathologists.
yeah,
I am actively connected with so many engineers, data scientists from across the world. I would have never guessed that. So, getting me out of my shell, helping me uh, connect with all these people and learn about their amazing talents and their amazing innovation is is something just out of the world. I would not have been able to do that had I not got
yeah,
into innovation and like InnovatorMD. You know, I wouldn't have been able to make that connection had I not chosen that pathway way back when.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, we tend to, especially physicians, I feel that once they get into their specialty and they start practice, it becomes very narrow and enclosed. You kind of get into your own stuff, your own specialty work, and then you forget about the rest of the healthcare that is happening around you and how things are changing and how it'll affect your own practice eventually, right? Um, so one of the criteria I see is that when other people succeed, you also succeed. When other people, you know, do something because you were there to help them, mentor them, and then now I see, I remember one case where, this high school student came to us and she was volunteering, and I met her last year again, and now she's the CEO of a company. She's
Wow.
running her own startup while doing college. I was so amazed at how what we do when they're young and how we support them changes their whole trajectory, and help them go on a better path. Um, so I see this as your main work. What other things are you doing professionally that help you help this work?
Uh, so my day job is as an anesthesiologist and as an ICU physician. I was working in the ICU earlier during the day, and I work in the operating room. So that's my day job. I also graduated from focusing on quality improvement and chairing the compliance, billing and compliance work for my department to leading the innovation uh, strategy for my department. And there's some really exciting work going on in that space. So we formed our very first innovation council for the department, some very smart people. So we put them collectively together under the leadership of our chairs. And we have a very amazing innovation department at the Cleveland Clinic. So we collaborate with them. I have an innovation partner through that innovation team. So we work collaboratively on creating certain structures within the department and out collaborating with people outside the department to get more people engaged in this in journey for innovation. So I'll give you one concrete example. So we formed the Innovation Council with the charge that we have to promote innovation and help others succeed. Uh, we did the very first uh, innovation workshop for our department just recently. So we did it in phases. There is still one last phase to be completed, but we organized it where a lot of our colleagues could learn about innovation pathways, especially understanding how it works at the Cleveland Clinic and potentially outside too. Uh, and so you're training the next generation of innovators in their journey to take an idea and go through that journey all the way to that next what I would think one of them might create a billion or $1 trillion startup, who knows. So that's one big focus of mine. But at the core of everything, remember, it started with the quest for quality improvement. So I'm still very focused on that. And now that we've learned so much over time period, and some of the tools and the techniques have gotten better in digital health or data science or AI, we're trying to develop novel solutions for this quality improvement, leveraging these tools. And that's one of the biggest focus that I have at the end of the day, uh,
Yeah,
because it's always about patient care. So while we create this whole ecosystem, at the end of the day, my focus largely is what do we need to improve quality of care delivery for our patients?
Mm, mm. Um, I mean, so you've been, walking this whole movement and then walking along, and you see it getting faster and faster, the new developments, the new technologies, the new applications. Where do you see, let's say, I won't say 10 years, but 3 years from now, where do you see the biggest change that physicians will feel because of what is happening in AI and other areas?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think we understand that well enough yet. Uh, One thing I'm very clear about is we are going to see certain tasks automated or eliminated. That I think is happening already, or is likely to become better. Because if you think about physicians, we want to focus on certain things that are related to patient care. That's why we got into this field, right? And there are certain tasks that we find like just mundane and we don't want to deal with. Like if you ask most of the physicians, do they want to spend a lot of time writing notes and billing after that, or writing letters for pre-authorization? I don't think they want to do that work, right? They rather spend the time seeing patients, developing innovative solutions for them, and helping either their patients or the health system or their colleagues in patient care. So I think with AI, some of those mundane tasks are likely to get eliminated, because river or water flows one way.
Yeah.
And I think that's the number one problem that a lot of us are facing. If you think about what American Medical Association has said are the top reasons for burnout amongst clinicians or physicians, number one is EHR, right? And number two is pre-authorization. Those are the two key pain points right now. And EHR is going to become smarter in many ways. Like, why do I have to search for this way? Like, if you think about, even currently, if you're looking for something in EHR, you have to do that keyword search.
Yeah.
It's likely to become semantic search. And you want things to come actively to you in a way there that it is summarized and provided to you for what you want, not just what everybody wants or just a general summary, but what you are looking for, as Yuli is looking for, or what Piyush is looking for this particular task. So I think those smarter tools are likely to come about, where I'm not going to hopefully spend hours not just feeding the EHR, but extracting the same information back in a curated way from EHR. This whole pre-authorization issues, all these other pain points, I think we don't want to deal with. So I think those are likely, I hope, get better.
Okay.
The what won't change, I hope, is the focus on patient care. I think it will evolve. There are certain tasks, again, there where we don't want to do, and I think democratizing access to high quality healthcare has to be part of that. So I'll give you one clear, concrete example in that. There was a publication that came around a year or so ago, where they looked at ultrasound probe with AI embedded on that. And you could do blind sweeps of the abdomen on pregnant patients. So you're just like sweeping the probe across the abdomen.
Hmm.
It will gather the image and it'll estimate the gestational age through that. Now, in the current standard, you have to go to an ultrasonographer. They have to perform this, for our pregnant patients, and they have to do it not just one time, but they have to do it serially to monitor, how the baby is doing and progressing. And trust me, it's a big access issue across the world.
Hmm.
Not everybody can travel to an ultrasonographer to get this ultrasound done every single time. Even if you think about in US, you think about copay, you think about scheduling, you think about access. Even we struggle with that a lot, right? So, how about having an AI embedded device, which anybody can use? Just do the blind sweeps. It monitors the fetus. That democratizes access to high quality care. And I think that's what I want to see. That's what my hope is that we will see. Another example, similar example, is echocardiography. You have to do a lot of training. I did that myself. And a lot of effort goes into maintaining those skill sets after that, too, to do this ultrasound of the heart called echocardiography. Now, it gives you a lot of information, but it requires a highly skilled individual to do it every single time. There is a study that was published in JAMA, and now there are FDA approved devices with AI on that, where novices who are not necessarily trained in that, even nurses who have not necessarily gained training in echocardiography, the probe has embedded guidance where to be placed. So it will tell you, okay, go left, go right, go up, go down, and then
Mm.
it'll you acquire the image, and then it'll give you the different estimations. It'll automatically calculate different estimations. We actually had a AI researcher who showcased one of the models that they've built, actually from Cedar Sinai, where it'll generate the full report in an automated manner. Now they're doing the validation of that, and hopefully it gets FDA approval too. So imagine for something that required a highly skilled individual, if we can provide democratized access. I want to be in the space where I'm taking care of the patient and providing them with high quality care rather than doing certain tasks that I'm not sure is the best use of my time and effort. We need to be the thinkers
Yeah,
rather than doing some of these tasks, trying to find an ultrasound machine, bringing it there, and doing all these things. The care needs to be democratized, and I think we need to deliver high quality focused care using AI. So that's where I see things going. They're already happening. In
yeah.
3 years, that's the change that I see happening.
Now, I mean, that's all great, taking care of the burdensome, the 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 rote work that we do, when it comes to documenting or talking about claims and all that. But let's say those problems are solved. What happens next in the next 5 years?
Yeah. I think again that's a great question. So I'll probably think of the journey to the Mars, and I think there are a lot of unknowns about that journey, right? But think about the amount of innovation that will come through that journey. And one of the examples that I give time and again is some of the smartest people that I know, the radiologists. And a lot of people have unfairly thrown darts at them and said, like, well, AI is going to replace them and you won't need radiologists. Well, that's completely untrue since those people made the statement and they apologized or retracted those statements too because it turned out to be false. Radiologists, if you think about it, they started their journey from just reading x-rays, right? And now if you think about what they do is putting in coils, stents, providing therapies for cancer, which previously used to require either extensive surgeries, patients staying in the hospital for 3 to 5 days, uh, a lot of complications. Now they are able to do it in the interventional radiology suite. Look at their journey, how they have evolved. I see a lot of us physicians in our own specialties leveraging AI and evolving the same way. That's what I see. But I think there are a lot of unknowns over there. For example, what about the combination of AI with robotics? What opportunities does that unfold for us? We're starting to see some of that in some of the surgical specialties or procedural specialties. Just recently, one of my colleagues introduced me to this particular company, which has developed a AI robotic system which can help uh, patients get intubated, that is to have a breathing tube put in before we put the patients on a ventilator. And uh, it does help a lot in many of the situations. So a lot of these tasks in the next 5 years are going to evolve, and I hope it evolves to provide high quality and safer care for us. But I think there are a lot of unknowns in that journey. Just like we want to go to Mars, but we don't know what all innovation we need to get to that. And I think there are steps that we need to take. So going back to moon is one of the first things that humanity is undertaking right now. And I think that's where we need to think about the next few steps that we need to take to hopefully cure cancer, hopefully decrease obesity even further, hopefully decrease the prevalence of diabetes amongst us. I mean, these are like some of the biggest problems we have faced for years. And thank goodness, for the first time, the obesity trend, for whatever reason, whether it's GLPs or other reasons, has buckled.
Yeah.
First time ever. This had never happened in years. And that was one of the biggest challenges. You think about the all the comorbidities associated with obesity, just obesity, like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, everything, right? For the first time, it has buckled that trend, thanks to some innovation. Now, next phase, sustenance. Will that trend keep going downwards or not? That is so I think we have to think about these big goals, and hopefully we can leverage AI to get there. Dream big.
Yes, yes. So, again, I look at it, yes, definitely the health is, it gets better, I think. Um, what about the cost? Do you think is there, right now it's more than 5 trillions. Uh, if you look at the global US healthcare costs, do you think there'll be a time where that will buckle also, that trend? Or you think AI will help change that trajectory?
Yeah, so I'm an eternal optimist, probably. So I always, if you
If
ask me a
you're
question like,
if you're an innovator, you have to be an
have to
optimist
be, yeah.
by definition.
So if you ask me that question, I'll always answer that by yes. I hope to see that buckle. If we could buckle the obesity trend, I think we can do it. I don't think AI will do it. I think us humans leveraging some of these tools will do it.
Yeah,
I don't think AI by itself will do it. We have to find our own solutions. Uh, in the short term, I see AI only escalating the cost. I don't see how that decreases the cost.
yeah,
I do see the costs associated with AI. And actually, we were just talking about prior to this event that I'd written this article almost a year and a half ago about the strategy around value-based AI health implementation in healthcare. And that's where I'd caution that while we are looking to adopt AI for every single thing, there is a cost to it. And if you look at all these AI companies, currently the cost of tokens is heavily subsidized by the investors, right?
mhm,
It can't be that ChatGPT is free, right? It's not free. Gemini can't be free. And uh, if Google is using Gemini to summarize every single thing when you do the Google search, there is a cost associated with it. There's nothing free, right? It's just that we are not seeing that cost right now.
yeah,
So there are a lot of experiments going on in healthcare trying to figure out the best use case of for AI. Is uh, the interaction or documentation part where we are using voice based documentation or scheduling, is that the best use case for AI? I don't know the answer to that. Just recently, there have been some studies looking at the cost associated with it and is it beneficial or not. So I think the first phase was in looking at the accuracy of some of these tools. And of course, they are changing very rapidly too. The tools and the techniques are changing very, very rapidly. So you have to
getting
do this,
better.
yes, getting better, getting different. So you have to continuously run these experiments. The second phase was to develop. certain solutions. The third phase is where we are starting to see some validations of these solutions. The fourth phase, where we are very, very early, is trying to figure out the strategy around the implementation of these and then long-term sustainability of these, which is to look at the ROI, which is to look at the cost effectiveness of some of these things. So when you think about like ambient AI, is ambient AI the best use case for every single encounter? I don't know the answer to that right now. And I
I have
think there are a
a
lot of
question.
experiments being done to elicit that. Similarly, a lot of other AI tools we will learn, will realize that summarization of certain documents is probably not the best use case for all the documents. Maybe for certain groups, maybe for certain tasks, yes. But otherwise, do you need it for every single thing? I don't think so. So I think that's where we'll realize that. And I think as we do this and as we use AI to do better analysis and more automated analysis, hopefully it will help us buckle the cost trend. But in the short term, I don't see that changing.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I
Dr.
agree.
Mathur, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
No,
Jose.
the only reason I'm saying is he was talking about the cost of tokens. And Anthropic, there was a company that got a bill of $500 million. So the question is, are the hospital systems deploying their own internal systems so that they don't have to get a $500 million bill?
Hold on, Jose. Hold on. He'll come to that answer. I
I'll be
still
happy
have
to answer that subsequently.
uh,
Yeah.
I have a couple of things before my time runs out. Actually, it's running out. Um, what is your advice to physicians that are just starting in medicine, or physicians who have been in medicine but they want to start in AI? What is your advice?
Yeah. So first of all, it's very exciting. It's very exciting times. The second, it's the most commonly asked question, at least for me, that how do I get started? So that's why we wrote that paper, and you can search it. I'll try to see if I can drop it in the chat too. It's called Navigating AI, where we uh, summarize the approach and provide certain resources about how to get started. It's not everything. Not all, we can't put all the resources together. Of course, BrainX community provides for a lot of those resources on our webpage. But look at that paper called Navigating AI by our research lab, where we have a roadmap, a goal setting, a roadmap, certain resources, and how to measure success outlined in that paper. So that's one thing. Second thing is don't be afraid. A lot of people uh, get afraid about programming and coding, and we do address that in that paper too. But if you think about innovation and physicians, it's about discovering problems and conceptualizing the solutions, and then working with a team to deliver on that. I don't think that changes with AI at all. So, Yuli, if you think about drug discovery, physicians have done their research, try to figure out, okay, maybe for this problem, this particular enzyme or this particular molecule might be helpful. And then it goes to all these researchers who who collectively work through this, design the solution, and then work on either starting up a company or working with another company to further research it, develop it, and get it to market and all. Same thing for device. A lot of physicians have built devices starting with a problem and then working with biomedical engineers or many others, and then creating a solution. It's the same thing for AI too. I don't think you can just do it by yourself. So you have to think about, and don't be afraid of programming. You don't have to do programming. You have to find the right team. Where I learned programming, but you don't have to necessarily do that. So
Especially
that
these days.
yeah, so you yeah, yes, I'm cautious about vibe coding a little bit. Doing using it every single day, I'm a little bit cautious about. You still need to know what you're doing there.
Yeah.
That's a challenge with it. So that whole process that Innovator MD has outlined for many, many years, that doesn't change in AI innovation pathway either. So don't be afraid. Just follow the process. And again, shout out to InnovatorMD and all the courses that are there. I think they're exceptional. They're very deep, and all these other webinars and other things that you do, they're very, very helpful in getting people started. So those key core concepts remain the same in your journey. So don't be afraid that, oh, we'll have to learn programming, we'll have to do other things. Yes, you need knowledge. Build a team. If you have a problem, come up with a concept and test it out, for that. The last thing is that there is actually a larger ecosystem which we are very, very familiar with, which is the research and validation ecosystem. So if you think about in innovation, one of the key roles that the physicians have performed is along research and validation. So every single day, there are drugs and devices that come out.
Yeah.
What role have physicians historically played other than in conceiving or helping develop them? It's in their research and validation. So there are so many research trials that are going on for these AI algorithms. And there's a great opportunity for us to engage in them, to come up with ideas, to test these out so that we make sure that, true to our Hippocratic oath, we ensure safe delivery of healthcare with AI. And that's a big part. Like, we have been doing research trials for years together. So with AI, it's not different. We still have to do the same validation and research trials. So that's another great opportunity. Again, don't need to learn programming. It will be great to understand the basics of it, are a great opportunity for us to get engaged in and grow. So for physicians who want to get started, you can start from any one of those points and decide to take your journey anywhere you want.
Great advice. So if somebody wants to connect with you or contact you, what's the best way to do that?
LinkedIn, that's a common medium. So you can easily find me on LinkedIn. I'm usually very active on that. We'll be happy to follow up with you.
Piyush, thank you so much for spending this hour with us. I'm sure there'll be questions that are coming to you, but I really appreciate you spending time and sharing your journey and the pearls of wisdom that we all need to learn from. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuli. And Jose, I'll be happy to follow up on your questions separately too. But just briefly, I think every health system is approaching it differently based on the resources that they have. That's the short answer to that.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for staying up and wherever you are. Please join InnovatorMD in our weekly talks, every Thursday or most Thursdays, I should say. We have something different and interesting. And so we have some more key people coming up. And I want to remind you that middle of August, we have our conference, and that is our World Congress. So please join. Hopefully, Piyush can join also as a speaker. This is an open invitation because we need people who have experience to educate the next generation. And so we are looking forward to that. And please support InnovatorMD. It is a member-run, mission-driven organization. So this is we don't spend on purple lights and big stages. We want, real stuff coming from real people. So thank you very much and good night.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone.
Good night.
I'm happy to follow up with you on LinkedIn too. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.